What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Jaymes Howell's Chiefs Talk. My name is Jaymes Howell. Right below me, my legendary co-host, Chase Riley. Chase, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm fantastic, man. How about yourself?
And we went in there. It wasn't exactly the result we were looking for. This last game, Kansas City Chiefs versus Cincinnati Bengals. We were all kind of hoping for a little bit of revenge into the Super Bowl, and it looked that way in the first half. Real quick, before we get started, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, that share button, that subscribe button, and the follow button, whatever it is you need to do, depending on whatever social media you're on, in order to follow Jaymes Howell's Chiefs Talk so you never miss an episode. So anyways, we start off real strong. Patrick Mahomes and company, 3 for 3 in the first 3 drives. Everything is clicking. What's your thoughts, man? What are you thinking about this time during the game?
We were pretty excited about it. I was watching it, having a good time, and right when it went up to about 21 points for the Chiefs, I started to get a little excited.
You get a sudden craving for tacos?
I did. I did, man. I did.
Hey, bro, I was glad to see you make it through the night.
Well, I wouldn't call it that, but I made it home and I made it to my bed, so that's good.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, man, you was feeling really good, and
So they come out and they're just distributing the ball to just about everyone. McCall Hardman gets touches. Jerick McKinnon. I had made a comment during the game. It's like Jerick McKinnon comes out, and every time he touches the ball, he gets 8 yards, 8 yards, 8 yards, over and over. I mean, they just looked phenomenal. And I have people texting me left and right, and they're like, "Oh, they're gonna blow them out," and that's absolutely how it looks. So it's almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of situation, because damn, they look good. Then we get into the second half, and then what the fuck happens?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where, we put so much analytics into the games. It's one of the things that keeps you and me going every week. We base a lot of this show off of analytics. The analytics of it say the Cincinnati Bengals won this game 27-24 in overtime. The analytics tell us that Pat Mahomes was 26 for 39 with 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That's what the analytics tell us about this game.
Yeah.
One of the things that's not in analytics, James, is momentum.
Yeah.
Momentum is not in analytics because you can't measure momentum. In fact, some of the guys that are really big into analytics, whether you look at IBM or AWS or anything like that, will tell you that momentum's not a real thing. But if you watch that game right there before halftime, when there was 5 seconds left, instead of kicking a field goal and taking 3 points to put it up even more further away, to put it up like 4 scores, the Chiefs elected to go for it, and it cost them. So when they came out in the second half, man, you could tell that the momentum had left, that there wasn't much left.
And I
And
think I had messaged you. I think I texted you and I said, there's a little momentum shift happening.
yeah,
Um, because right before that, they had just reached pay dirt. Like the Bengals had just gotten into the end zone. They had just reached pay dirt. And then, mind you, they had gotten marched all the way down. They stopped the Chiefs from scoring any points. None. No points. And so, instead of just a 4-point difference, they were able to gain a full 7. And that was all it took. Is I think I messaged you at that moment. I said there's a little bit of momentum shift, and then we came out. We looked flat. We just kind of looked a little complacent,
yep,
and yeah,
yeah. And if you go back and look, that game is a tale of two halves. The first half, playoff Pat.
yeah.
The second half, regular season Pat. I guess. I don't know what to call it, man. I really don't. Um, it's one of those games where it was just kind of. I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, uh, I was taken back to you and I were talking just right before we went live. I was taken back to 2014 in January when we played the Indianapolis Colts in a wild card game, and we went up 21 points on them, or 24 points, and they came back and won that game. And I had that same exact feeling. Was like, this is weird. This isn't right. They're not supposed to do this. And yeah,
Yeah, and a lot of the issue was, and I put a lot of the blame on Andy Reid for this. If you take those 3 points, and now I know that we were trying to get 7 at half, but if you take those 3 points, we're kicking for the win at the end of the game. We're not kicking for the tie. We're kicking for the win. And they said that it was Patrick Mahomes' decision. That's not Patrick Mahomes' decision. That's Andy Reid's decision. If Patrick Mahomes wants to, if we left it up to Patrick Mahomes, he would go for it on every fourth down and every fourth and goal and every goal line situation, and we would go for it constantly. And that's not the smart play. And Andy Reid's been in the league long enough to know that you have to take those points. And so I thought,
yeah,
and that's not the only mistake that he made. I thought his play calling in the second half got completely complacent. I thought it might stay aggressive, and that last play to go for it was indicative of the fact that he was gonna be aggressive in the second half, but he just lost it.
yeah.
So do you
And
think this is Andy Reid being Andy Reid, because he's kind of been notorious for letting off the gas? Or do you think like the Bengals, made the adjustments necessary to slow this offense down?
I absolutely think the Bengals made the necessary adjustments to slow it down, but I also at the same time think that. I, Let me say this. So I think um, I think Andy Reid kind of put this in Pat's hand and instilled the trust in Pat to say, okay, you want to go for it on fourth down, or you want to go for it, you want to go for the 7 with 5 seconds left before the half instead of kicking the field goal. Let's do it. And don't get me wrong, I think Pat has earned that trust to be able to say, we hear all the time, Aaron Rodgers calls his own shots, Peyton Manning called his own shots, Tom Brady calls his own shots. So I think this was kind of Reid letting Patrick call his shot, and And like you said, a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing where, um, we got Dr. Jekyll with Patrick Mahomes, and in the second half, here comes Mr. Hyde, and yeah, man, it was definitely concerning to watch the way that game played out.
Yeah, I think inconsistencies have really been an issue for Pat all season. And it's week in and week out. We kind of saw this. Which Patrick Mahomes? I better say Patrick instead of Pat, or Mama Pat, come get me. um,
Well, I'll tell you what, he played like Pat
yeah,
in the second half.
yeah,
So
I'm telling you.
we got Patrick in the first half, and we got Pat in the second half.
So yeah, Patrick Mahomes has had these consistency issues. So week in and week out, we don't know which Patrick Mahomes we're gonna get. Are we gonna get one that struggles to even connect on a 5 yard flat route? Route right out to the flats, or a 5 yard slant. A little hook. We've seen that all throughout the beginning of the season, and then all of a sudden he kind of turned it on. Well, now he went back to that in the whole second half of that game, and so this game, I don't know, man. It was, of course, as a Chiefs fan, it was extremely frustrating, and we see the comments coming in. Mama Bears, she said this game was thrown. There's no reason. Pat, it looked like he was a clown running around at the end. This is not indicative of his normal behavior or the team's ability. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Yeah, and like you asked, it was this Reed letting his foot off the gas, or did Cincy make the right adjustments? No matter what the answer is to that question, regardless, the offense still was only able to muster 3 points in the second half.
Yeah.
And when you're playing a team that hot, regardless of what your stance is on how you should perform with the offense, when you're facing a team that hot, you've got to be able to put them away. Let's reverse the tables here. We were on the receiving end of that in 2019, where every single game we went into in the playoffs, we played the Texans, we played the Titans, we played the Bills. Every team we played,
Sure.
we had opportunities present themselves to us where we could make a comeback, and those teams had let their foot off the gas, or those teams underestimated what the Chiefs could do. And then we saw that in this game, where we took our foot off the gas and we underestimated what that Cincinnati Bengals team could do, and they took advantage of it.
My thing is on that is Andy Reid has historically been known to get, when he gets a 3-possession lead, he will take his foot off the gas. And so how many times is he going to let this burn him before he learns his mistake here?
Yeah.
Because he keeps doing it and he keeps doing it and he keeps doing it. You go look from one half to the first half to the second half, it's a completely different offense. There's no swing routes, to Jerick McKinnon in the flat. There's no screens. We're not running the ball like we were in the first half, but it's just different. And so I think when in a moment when Patrick Mahomes is struggling to kind of get it going again, coming out of half, you gotta have to simplify it and get those things back involved and get some rhythm going. And Andy Reid, we just went into a different mode. So that's what's concerning me, is because historically he's done it so many times before in big moments and once again it comes back to bite us in the butt. And
Absolutely.
you're known for your history. If I go rob a bank and 3 times, and even though I pay my time, next time I go to the bank to get my money out, if someone robs a bank, even if it's not me, they're looking at me.
That's right.
So I don't know if that was the case or not. If he let off the gas, so to speak, but that's what it seems like.
Yeah. And it's crazy, because if you look at the rushing stats, because we talked about, Patrick Mahomes kind of falling flat in the second
Mm-hmm.
half. Okay, if that's the case, then why didn't somebody revert back to the rush game to get the pass game back going?
Yeah,
Because if you
exactly.
look, Jerick McKinnon had 12 carries for 65 yards. That's 5.4 yards per carry. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 6 carries, 36 yards. That's 6 yards a carry. So we're talking about 18 times you ran the ball when you should have ran the ball 18 more times. Because it was obvious that Pat, when he came out in the second half, he didn't have the hot hand anymore. But looking at the analytics of it, Jerick McKinnon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire did. So to keep the momentum going, they should have ran the ball.
Yeah,
Uh,
like I was saying, every time he touched the ball, he got 7-8 yards.
yep. And this game went to overtime. And it's funny because we spoke about this last week about overtime, because overtime has been a point of emphasis with the NFL for the past couple weeks. For those that don't know,
Right.
I'm kidding. A couple weeks ago, the Chiefs played the Buffalo Bills at home in Kansas City. The game went to overtime, and in overtime, a lot of people caused a humongous ruckus.
Yeah.
All over social media. It was just a humongous ordeal about the overtime rules, about how unfair they are because Josh Allen didn't get to touch the ball, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. To which my reply was, okay, fine. Where were you all in 2018 or 2019 in the offseason when the Chiefs filed to change the rules and none of the other owners wanted to? Because the same thing happened to Patrick Mahomes. It's just a lot of people didn't care then, but because it was a different situation this year, I guess. Whatever. But this game in overtime, the Chiefs did win the coin toss. The Chiefs didn't win the game. But nobody said a word about it because it didn't fit the narrative. So I wanted to point that out real quick because I always thought that was a fun little tidbit for me. The Chiefs won the coin toss. I think a couple of guys messaged me and were like, "We won the coin toss. We're about to go down and score," and it
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
And the comment was made earlier that Pat was looking like a clown running around all over the place. And I think that kind of plays in, and I wanted to kind of tie that into what happened in overtime. And just a couple plays before overtime, before that kick that sent us into overtime. But he was running around like a chicken with his head cut off. And the reason why I bring that up is because it was extremely bad decision making. There's several opportunities for him to get rid of the ball, to throw the ball away, just throw the ball away, and live to fight another down. You're in a first and goal or a second and goal situation, and you end up kicking a 45-yard field goal to try to tie it. So my thing is that kind of leads into what happens in overtime, because we go into overtime, and if we remember correctly, our first pass is to Demarcus Robinson. The second pass is to Demarcus Robinson. The guy has 0 catches on the day, has not had any success on the day at all. And in the biggest moment of the game, when we need you to go down and score a touchdown and send these clowns home, we're going to Demarcus Robinson. Travis Kelce has 10 receptions, 95 yards. He's been open all game. We're going to Demarcus Robinson. Tyreek Hill had 7 catches for 78 yards. Now, he was shut out for the entire second half, basically. But we're going to Demarcus Robinson. McCole Hardman, Byron Pringle, each have the three catches, 2 catches, respectively. McCole Hardman has 52 yards. We're going to Demarcus Robinson. Are we kidding? I mean, the decision making, on both Patrick Mahomes to even go that route, and then the play calling on Andy Reid, unacceptable.
Yeah. I understand that. I understand that Pat has made a good. He's made a lot of good meals the past couple of years, making sure everybody gets involved, passing it out to everybody, but in to your point, like you said, Travis Kelce was open all game, and relying on Demarcus Robinson that much, a little. It was very. I'm going to be honest with you, man. At the end of that game, I was just kind of like,
As a Chiefs fan, I think we've always had this feeling of kind of like protection, waiting for that other shoe to drop. We're always kind of waiting for it to happen, waiting for something bad to happen. We've seen it time after time after time. In the Colts game that you spoke of previously, it was in 2014. That's a perfect example of the other shoe dropping. Just when we thought we had it, we can let our guard down just a little bit. Bam! The shoe drops. And it happened again. And I think it just when I almost was able to shake that feeling as a true Chiefs fan. And I did. I was like, oh, we're gonna wallop them. We're up 21-3. I had let my guard down, and just devastating.
Well, when the game went into overtime, man, I was just sitting there and I was like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. We still have Patrick Mahomes. We still have Tyreek Hill. We still got Andy Reid. These guys have been here before. They know what they're doing. The feeling hadn't sank in until they turned the ball over, and I was like, yeah, okay. Here it is.
So we talked about the first 2 plays of the last time we touched the ball. Philip Clement says, "What's up, Vatos? I see you, my friend. What's going on, buddy? Thank you for tuning in with us tonight." So the third play of that last drive, it's 3rd and 10, and I think we're almost if we're gonna go for a touchdown right before half. I'd almost bet that we are in a 4th down situation, like a 4-down territory or a 4-down situation where, we're going to go for it. We're just going to play for the win. Offense is our strong suit. We're going to play for the win. So on 3rd and 10, I expect to see maybe a 7+ yard play ran, get a good majority of the yardage needed, then go pick up 3 or less. And he throws the ball 50 yards down the fucking field. And it's and of course it's intercepted. And we know what happens after that. It's intercepted. They go down and they do their thing. And whatever. What was your thought about his decision to throw deep in that situation?
I mean, like I said, I'm okay with Pat throwing deep anytime, man. But somebody's got to be down there open. Somebody's got to be down
Yeah, he
there.
was in double coverage.
Yeah. So it's just it's
And I know Tyreek got hops. I understand he has hops, but he's not Megatron. He's not that guy.
yeah.
Where he's going to go up and beat double like he has, but he's not going to consistently. He's not a Jamar Chase. He's not going to go up and consistently win these jump balls. I understand he's got hops, but he's Tyreek Hill. He's like pint size.
Yeah, and you can't rely on him to make that play at that time. Like you said, the safe play was the right call. You can't put it all on the line right there.
Yeah.
It sucks. I guess my point is, the afterthoughts on the game. Are we as Chiefs Kingdom being ridiculous, being overcritical?
I just wanted some chill hip hop music in the background. I thought that'd be kind of cool. So, are we as Chiefs Kingdom being critical on some things? I know there's a lot of upset fans, and they should be. And me and you kind of had a long discussion about this, and before the show, and I cannot deem this to be a successful season. Was it a good season? Sure. Did we do great things? Did we make history? Yeah, but was it successful? I don't think so, and I don't think that Chiefs fans should be satisfied by just making it to the AFC Championship this year because of the way we lost. Just because of the way we lost. If we would have went out and would have lost to like the Bang or the Bills in that sort of fashion where we gave it our all, it was back and forth the whole game, it was super close, and we left it all out there, and then we lost. Then great, we made it this far, we left it all on the field, successful season. But because I felt like we came out in the second half and only gave 75%, and then we lost, we should be in the Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs should be in the Super Bowl. And because of that, this is not a successful season. It was just a good one.
Like I said, I will agree to disagree, my friend. I think where we were back in October, I think the way they turned it around, like I said, in October, you go back and watch Jaymes Howell's Chiefs talk from October. I asked the question, is this team going to make the playoffs?
Yeah.
It wasn't a question of, is this team going to win the division? It was, is this team even going to make it to the playoffs? And they not only won the division, they made it to the playoffs. They won 2 playoff games. One game is being dubbed one of the greatest games in history.
Yeah. That was bro. It just brings a smile to my face. That was such a great game to be at.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was. And we go back and look at, like I said, that 2013, 2014 season, Alex Smith, with Nile Davis, Dwayne Bowe, Donnie Avery, and then the Chiefs defense with Tamba Hali, Justin Houston, Derek Johnson, Eric Berry, go in and face Andrew Luck and the Colts, and we put up 21 points on them, and then let Andrew Luck and the Colts slowly come back and slowly squash our hopes. Mind you, everybody, it had been 20 years since the Chiefs had won a playoff game. And that's where we were. That's where we were before those things happened. You know, it had been this long since the Chiefs had won a home playoff game. It was this long since the Chiefs had won a playoff game in general. This team has took a rookie quarterback, a quarterback who was on his second year, who sat out his rookie year underneath another quarterback. So in his first year playing, his first year starting, he went to the AFC Championship and was a handprint away from going to the Super Bowl. And they've gone to the AFC Championship every year after that. They've been 4 times. They've won twice. They've been to the Super Bowl twice. And they've won 1 Super Bowl. Like I said, where we were in October, I still consider this season a success. If we'd have lost in the wild card round, I'd have said no. But it's hard not to. Of course, I'm disappointed. Of course.
Yeah.
We expected the offense to come out and do more. But am I disappointed? Yes, I'm disappointed. But was the season unsuccessful? I can't pin it that way, man. I can't.
Yeah, I understand. It's a good story. We struggled. We went through some adversity. We did struggle early in the season, and I questioned it myself. I wasn't sure that they were going to even make the playoffs at one point. So to turn it around and get to the point that they did, that's great and phenomenal. But it's like, if you knew that you get there and you just didn't, like, you had the potential. If I had the potential to climb Mount Everest and I was 3/4 the way up there and I was just like, I'm done. Would you consider that a success? No, man, you had the potential to get there, but you just didn't. You let that game slip out of your hands.
Okay, well, I'll play devil's advocate with you. If you had made it to the top of Mount Everest before, was it really that big of a deal that you didn't make it that time?
Hell yes, it's that big of a deal.
And like I said, I can go down the list of all the playoff games in the past.
And as a longtime Chiefs fan, it's been a struggle, for many years. We had good teams where we had great offenses and no defenses, and we had great defense and no offense. And we went vice versa for several years. Could never get it together. And so are we getting a little spoiled as fans? Yeah, I think so. That's where all this 17-0 talk came from at the beginning of the season. There's no way that 5 years ago even we would have even said anything about 17-0. It's just, and then it's unreal to think that in just a matter of just a couple years, what Patrick Mahomes has done for this city and like for their confidence in the team, to the point that there's probably a little bit of overconfidence, a little bit of high expectations, and we're just getting spoiled. But good news is, so for Chiefs fans, this roster's pretty young, and I don't really see much of a talent drop off. I know we've got a lot of free agents that we're looking at going into this off season, but it's a pretty young roster, and the core's there.
Yeah, man. And not to beat a dead horse there, but you go back and look at some of those playoff games, before we had Patrick Mahomes, you know, the point was like, hey, we got there. We need to do something now. Because in reality, we didn't know what the next year held. We didn't know if we were going to make it there. We didn't know if we were going to be in the playoffs the next year. Spoiler alert, if you know Chiefs history, we weren't in the playoffs a lot of those times the next year. So it's kind of, am I spoiled because I'm like, yeah, it sucks we lost. Pat'll get us there next year, Yeah, maybe. You come out, you play a good game. Joe Burrow is good. He might even be great. The kid's a winner. Like I said, he's got ice in his veins. He plays a cool, calm game, and that's how he goes out and win it. It's just I like to remind Chiefs fans that we've got one of those guys in Kansas City. Because when Patrick Mahomes plays like Patrick Mahomes, he plays with ice in his veins. He plays a cool, calm, collected game. Do I think this year was weird for him? Yeah. Do I think he'll have plenty of time? Yes. Because like you and I were talking before we went live, Patrick Mahomes is 1 year older than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
We're not in a position like the Patriots were 3 years ago. We're not in the position like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were this year and last year. We don't have a 40-year-old quarterback who's on the verge of retirement. Go talk to Green Bay about what's going on there.
Well, the thing is, Patrick Mahomes, I would say Patrick Mahomes is actually ahead of the curve. Richmond Webb, I see you, buddy. Good evening, man. Appreciate you tuning in. But I think Patrick Mahomes is ahead of the curve. The only difference is that his, rookie season, because he sat out his first year and then, his first year he played, that I will call his rookie season. It was so phenomenal that he had no matter what he did the next season, he was gonna regress. And now he's kind of regressing back to a norm, because that first season it was a record-setting season. So now he's kind of regressed to a norm, but that's still ahead of the curve, because most quarterbacks don't really become real efficient at the position in the NFL until year 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. It takes several years for them to settle down, the game slow down, and then really become proficient at the position. So, I think going into this offseason, look, Patrick Mahomes was thrown a lot of new stuff this year. He saw a lot of new coverages that he wasn't exposed to previously. And they did what they could to make the adjustment during the season. But now he gets a full off season to go in and really tackle this and address this issue. And that's how to break down cover 2, how to break down whatever defenses would give him struggles or give him fits throughout the season. And I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to really get into it this offseason and make those adjustments. And next year, he's going to be even better than what he is already.
Yeah, no, I 1,000% agree, man. The future is still bright in Kansas City, and so is the present. We still have Mahomes. We still have Tyreek Hill. We still have, McCole Hardman, Orlando Brown, Nick Bolton, Willie Gay. All those guys that I named are young, really young.
Oh, yeah.
Under 25, under 26 years old. They're all going to be here for a while, so they all have plenty of room to grow with us. So I just, like I said, man, I like, I'm okay with I'm okay with this season, and it sucks. I would love for the Chiefs to be taking the week off and going to Los Angeles in a couple of weeks, but um, there's always next year.
Yeah, yeah, there is always next year, and it's gonna be great, man. To set another record next year when we make it to the AFC Championship for the 5th year, and we host it for the 5th year in a row. So we'll be there.
Right.
We'll be there. We'll be watching it. We'll be doing the thing. So we got a couple big contracts coming up. Tyrann Mathieu, hopefully is to be extended. I say hopefully, and that's the thought of a lot of Chiefs fans. What's your thoughts? Do you want him back? Are you okay with them skedaddling, or what you think?
I would love to see I would love to see Tyrann Mathieu stay in Kansas City. I believe that I believe he's been a pivotal part to that defense, a pivotal part to this team. I think that I think earlier in the year, I think we had a little bit of a problem because when the offense was underperforming, what did we do? We weren't going to look at our Super Bowl MVP quarterback. No,
Right.
we looked at the defense. Like, hey, like Patrick's carried this team for 4 years now, guys. It's time for you to pick up the slack and start carrying and start doing your part on the team. I think we all can agree that that's how Chiefs Kingdom looked at. So when the pressure was put on the defense, kind of reflecting and looking back at that, Tyrann Mathieu is not, Tyrann Mathieu is a fantastic safety, and he's been a fantastic leader on this defense. Has he played his best year? No. Did he still play a good year? Absolutely. But to be fair to Tyrann Mathieu plays one position that and Tyrann Mathieu can't play all 11 positions on the defense. So
Well, and a credit to Tyrann Mathieu's skill. Well, Tyrann Mathieu actually plays like 2 or 3 positions.
yeah,
you, you know, uh, I want him back. I would be okay if he was to leave. Like, I'm not gonna be brokenhearted. I get tired of seeing the athletes, interact with fans on Twitter. Like, I understand it's not interact, but interact in a negative way. Fight with fans on Twitter. Look, man, you're a professional athlete. These guys are peons. Who cares what they think? Let that shit go. But instead, you're calling out your own fan base that is coming to your games and supporting you every single week, week in and week out. I don't agree with it. I know this is an era of keyboard warriors. We're in a time of keyboard warriors. Everyone loves to pop off. It's fun, but I just don't agree with it. So other than that, like his performance on the field, no doubt he's a rock star. He goes out there. Was it great this year? No. 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles that were turnovers, so 6 turnovers total. That's the same as the 6 interceptions that he had in my book the previous year. He had 6 interceptions and no forced fumbles, so 6 turnovers and 6 turnovers. And then the communication side of things, like he is the leader of the day. These guys look up to him. Any rookies that come in, they come in. It's Tyrann Mathieu. You lock into everything he says. And there's no doubt he's a talent. Who else would you want these young guys to learn from than Tyrann Mathieu?
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we do extend him, at least for maybe a 2-3 year deal, not much longer than that. just to get some new, fresh guys in here, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I said, he's the landlord. And if he's not here, man, there ain't nobody back there that's gonna go collect rent. So, I think he's a pivotal part to Chiefs Kingdom, and I would love to see him stay.
I would like to see additional talent added on the back end during the offseason, because I just don't, Daniel Sorensen obviously had a decline, and Armani Watts is not developing into what we were hoping he would. So, but then we got Orlando Brown Jr. He's going to want to get paid. Does he? Or does he get hit with the franchise tag?
Either way, he's not going anywhere. So, I've seen that a lot on social media and like the Chiefs groups that we're in. A lot of stupid questions. It is what it is. But everybody asks stupid questions. I ask stupid questions. There's that old saying of, "Oh, there's no such thing as a stupid question." And I said, I tell everybody that people only say that to make people who ask stupid questions feel better. There is definitely stupid questions, and one of them is Orlando Brown going to get signed? Yes.
Yeah.
Orlando Brown is going to get signed.
Yo, what's up, Donnie? I see you in there. Thanks for tuning in with us tonight. Appreciate you.
To assume that Orlando Brown Jr. will not be a Chief for the future is asinine and stupid. Yeah. The Chiefs gave up a first-round pick for him, plus much, much more. Orlando Brown Jr. will be a Chief going forward. Whether he gets signed to a long-term deal this offseason or next season, it doesn't matter. He's gonna be a Chief.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think so too, and I think Kansas City might get lucky, because Orlando Brown Jr. didn't really have that great of a year. I mean, did he kind of solidify up towards the end? Yeah, a little bit, but he's still struggling in some parts of his game.
Absolutely. So, there's a little bit of context to that. So he spent the majority of his years with Baltimore, or the majority of the years of his career, as a right tackle. And then the year before we made the trade for him, Baltimore moved him to left tackle, and was hoping that he would flourish as a left tackle more than he has a right tackle. So he's still very young. He's under 25, and he spent most of his career at right tackle, and is trying to flourish as a left tackle. So I agree. If the Chiefs get lucky and he has not bloomed into the left tackle that he expects himself to be, fantastic. We get him at a discounted rate, and then he flourishes into a fantastic left tackle in the future.
Exactly.
Works for me. I don't care. But the question of if he gets signed it's not even on the table. It's
okay. Melvin Ingram, does he come back?
I hope so, man. I really hope so. I guess I would have to ask, do the Chiefs let Frank Clark go and his big contract, and we give a little bit of that money to Melvin Ingram?
I could definitely look. I think I seen earlier it was like you could save $12 million if you cut Frank Clark. And that's a lot, but I think that they figure out a way. And at the beginning of the season, I was definitely on the get rid of Frank Clark train. I'm tired of it. Get rid of him. He's being a nuisance. But he kind of pulled it together throughout the season, had a pretty good productive season. And I would like to see, and I'm not a salary cap guru or anything like that, but I know that they can transfer that money into signing bonuses and training bonuses, workout bonuses, and and all these different bonuses and make it happen to where the salary cap hit isn't as harsh. And I would like to see Frank Clark extended at a lower annual rate than what he is at currently. Um, even if they don't, like, is in concern to like Melvin Ingram, I think it's vital. I think it's vital that we retain Melvin Ingram. He was such a pivotal point, like when we got him, when we acquired Melvin Ingram mid-season, it changed this defense completely. And it allowed Chris Jones to go back inside. And if he wants to come back, I think that we retain him and keep the line the way it is. And I think you said maybe something about Brett Veach hinting at maybe defensive line in the draft.
Yeah, they did a press conference today, and Veach was very open about the press conference, or open during the press conference. He didn't withhold a lot of information. He just said, hey, last year our focus was offensive line. This year, I'm looking, and my focus is defensive line and the defense in the draft and in free agency. So I think that's a good thing. I think that you'll see you'll see some adjustments made where adjustments need to be made. And one of the things that I think is extremely vital is that that defensive line and what we need to do to shift it, and all the money that's being spent on that front seven. Because Hitchens is taking up a lot of cap space, and Frank Clark is taking up a lot of cap space. Chris takes up a lot of cap space, but Chris Jones has earned it. So maybe a restructure to Chris Jones. Hopefully, maybe a restructure to Frank Clark. If not, we go out and find another pass rusher.
He's got to come in at a rotational player price.
Yeah,
he's got to come back in order to keep him. Frank Clark has to come in around the same price as like Alex Okafor.
Agreed.
Maybe just a smidge more, but like a rotational player price, or else we can't afford him. And what it sounds like is we might go defensive line in the draft. Now I know that Brett Veach is not going to be too telling. He's not going to give away his hand. But if that's the case, and they want to go defensive line early in the draft and have Melvin Ingram on one side, Chris Jones in the middle, and then a early draft pick on the other side, I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah,
you can find some very good defensive ends late in the first round, early. I mean, in the first 3 rounds, you'll be able to find quality defensive end. And then one last contract, Derek Nottie. Did he come back?
I could see that. I don't see Derek Nottie being somebody who takes up a lot of cap space.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, it's like a rotational. It's the same thing as like Frank Clark. Are they the same player? No, Frank Clark's a lot better than Derek Nottie. But you have to be able to get these guys in at like almost veteran minimums, just a little bit over rotational player prices. Because, Derek Nottie hasn't played that big of a role. He's not going to get any sort of major payday or anything like that. I know it might be someone's favorite player someplace, but, he's not. I think he is crucial towards the rotation of guys that we got. I think he's going to have a vital part in the operation moving forward. But the good news is speculation of the NFL's salary cap. Okay, so it had taken a hit previously because of COVID, right?
Yep.
So now they're kind of hoping that it'll bounce back this year. Any word on that?
Yeah, Brett Veach did. He did. Elaborate on that. That he expects the salary cap to bounce back up from the hits that it had taken from COVID. But we're not going to know until March when the new season starts, and they announce all that stuff.
Yeah, when does free agency officially start?
Free agency will officially start March 16th at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time.
There we go.
There's 2 days. There's about 2 days before that they consider they call I think like a tampering period where they will allow teams to talk to potential free agents. But teams aren't allowed to sign until like I said, March 16th, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Great. So we got the Pro Bowl coming up.
No one cares about that. No one gives two shits about the Pro Bowl.
Oh, bro.
I'll tell you what's exciting.
They butchered that.
Huh?
They butchered the Pro Bowl.
The Pro Bowl.
It used to be so good, man. Good old, NFC versus AFC, the best of the best. And that's just carnival games.
It's never been good. It's always been stupid. The only time the Pro Bowl is cool is on Madden. That's it. Because you can pretend that it means something, but the Pro Bowl doesn't mean jack shit. The East-West Shrine Game and the Senior Bowl are going to be important, and those will be on Thursday and Friday, or maybe Friday and Saturday. My bad.
Yeah, I love it. You get to see these young kids get out here, and for some of them, it's another way to put film out there for the NFL. And
Absolutely.
And what you see from these kids that you don't see from any sort of Pro Bowl, All-Star game, anything like that, maximum effort. You see maximum effort, and it means something for these kids.
Effort in general.
Yeah.
Effort in general.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's going to be exciting. When did you say that was?
February 3rd and February 4th.
Okay. All right.
So no more than likely have it on the NFL Network.
Yeah.
I'll probably I'll watch. Probably take a little bit of notes, and we'll have it on Jaymes Howell's Chiefs Talk next week. So because that's where we are now, guys. We're in the off season. So
yeah, we're in the off season, unfortunately. Sean Payton decides he's leaving here. He's retiring.
Hell of a career, man. Hell of a career. Came in shortly after Hurricane Katrina. Changed the atmosphere and the culture in that team. And then took him to a Super Bowl. He's one of the most decorated coaches in the league. The rumor is a lot of people assumed that he was going to wait for the Cowboys job to open up, but the word around town is that Fox has offered him a fat contract to replace Troy Aikman. If Troy Aikman takes the job with Amazon, Sean Payton would replace Troy Aikman with Joe Buck, which would be, I'm being sarcastic, it would be awesome. Not. They need to replace Joe Buck.
Here's my thing about Sean Payton. Did he have a great year? Sure. Yeah, I mean, did he have a great career? Sure. Was he a good coach? Yeah. Did he have a phenomenal quarterback to kind of make him good and then not do so well afterwards? Yeah. The guy's a sleazeball. He's an absolute sleazeball. Let's not forget that he was He was like the master. Him and who was it? Greg Lewis. Let me double check. Greg Williams. Him and the defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, they're the mastermind behind Bounty Gate, where he would pay his players to go out and purposely injure other players. Not cool, man. Not cool. And especially in this day and age when we're all about player safety. We just kind of forgot that this even happened. And I would say I don't want to take anything away from his coaching career, but I don't care if I do, because he's a sleazeball for doing that. Why would you go out there and try to purposely injure somebody else in a game? It's just a game, bro. You play a child's game and you get paid millions to coach a child's game. And you're going to go out here and you're going to try to purposely break someone's ankle? Come on. He's a sleazeball. And I don't want to see him on Fox. Do I think it would be entertaining? I don't know. But I don't want to see him on there.
Well, if we're talking about Fox and being entertaining, the only thing entertaining as far as the commentary team on Fox goes is Gus Johnson and Charles Davis, and they call the college football games on Fox. Okay?
Yeah.
Joe Buck with anybody is not entertaining. You want to talk about entertaining commentary duos on Fox? Michael Cole and Pat McAfee on Friday Night SmackDown is more entertaining than Joe Buck and anybody. Okay? You could put me next to Joe Buck and the ratings would go, okay? And I'm one of the most entertaining people you'll ever meet. So Joe Buck, I've had more fun watching paint dry than I have listening to Joe Buck. Okay? The only time Joe Buck is funny is when he's not commentating. He was on Monday Night Football with the Manning brothers a few weeks ago. He was funny. I was like, man, that guy should commentate football games. But we don't. We get Joe Buck. Okay? So I'm not going to have any fun. I'm not going to have any fun watching Sean Payton and Joe Buck or Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. And, Doink the Clown and Joe Buck.
No.
So,
hey, speaking of sleazeballs, Damon Arnett, he was here and then he was gone.
I thought it was a typo. I saw the article come through Friday, and it says Chiefs release Damon Arnett for possession of a deadly weapon and something else. And I was like, oh, this must be a typo from the article when the Raiders released him.
Yeah.
And then I clicked on it, and it was like Friday night in Vegas, and I'm like,
for real?
you idiot.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I thought it was still referencing, I was like, what? What do you mean? What? And so I had to go in there. I thought it was still referencing the previous incident.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. How do you do this, man? You make a huge mistake. You've got to know. You're a smart guy. You went to college. You got to know that this is a big mistake. And you're handed a second chance on a silver platter.
After you already made a stupid mistake. And then you go and make an even bigger stupid mistake.
Yeah. I don't understand it. Millions of dollars are on the line. Just stay in your house. Just stay in get an Oculus. Play some virtual reality or something. Go to a virtual bar.
Play some Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. Dang.
I'm not exactly sure what happened there, man. I know what happened. He's an idiot. That's just all there is to it. So,
yeah. Anyways, I guess there was another game, huh? There was another game besides the Chiefs and the Bengals.
So, let me tell you how my Sunday went. After drinking my sorrows away,
Uh-huh.
I had my wife come pick me up, and she took me home, and I went and passed out, and I woke up at 3 a.m. and looked at my phone just to make sure that I wasn't drunk dreaming that we lost.
Right.
And then so my heart was broken again. And then I saw that the Rams won. And I was actually, after Monday, after everything calmed down, I was able to go back and watch that game. And it was a stellar performance by Matthew Stafford and the defense and Sean McVay. So
Yeah, I mean, it kind of played out basically like I thought it would. Like Jimmy G is just like I said in the pregame. Jimmy G's not that guy. He's not the guy, and I'm not sure if he's gonna even be in San Fran next year.
Yep, that was gonna be my question: is if the 49ers move on from Jimmy G, they've got a young kid that they drafted in Trey Lance. Jimmy G's got he's got a high profile contract. So it may be time for them to move on.
Yeah, I mean they've got the pieces in place to move on. That's why they got Trey Lance, because they I know they didn't pick him up so they can have this dual quarterback threat. That's not what we do, So I think it's time. Jimmy G kind of that he was a liability and slowing this team down, holding this team back this year. And I don't know if he stays with the Niners and they switch roles. I wouldn't think so. But the big question is if he leaves the Niners, where's he going to go? And I could see, quite honestly, the team that fits most to me is Chicago. They're in need of a decent, veteran quarterback. Now, Jimmy G's not that guy, but he is an above average quarterback. And I don't think Justin Fields is ready to go yet.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's Chicago, but I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know if he gets a starting job somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe does he go to New England behind Mac Jones?
That's a possibility. He was very high thought of by Bill Belichick. So I could see Bill bringing him back in and keeping him and letting him work with Mac Jones and work with that system that he's familiar with. I could see him going to New York and helping back up a Zach Wilson.
That's what Donnie was saying. I asked Donnie, I said, where's Jimmy G going? He said the Jets.
I could see it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I could see it. I think a better question is that we haven't gotten an opportunity to talk about is Aaron Rodgers. Last week it sounded like Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be in Green Bay. We don't know, but the assumption is, and the sound of it is that he's done in Green Bay. So if Aaron Rodgers is done in Green Bay, where does Aaron Rodgers go? Does Aaron Rodgers swap and go to the 49ers?
I don't know, man.
I think that would be a weird component that I shared that video with you privately, between our messages where they asked Aaron Rodgers on draft day if he was surprised that the 49ers didn't take him, and he said, no, it is what it is, but I'm going to make them regret it for the rest of my career, and and it seems that the 49ers have Aaron Rodgers' number as far as NFC playoffs go.
Yeah,
and so it would be definitely weird to see him go to the 49ers. Other names that have been thrown around is the Steelers. I know a lot of people assumed that he was going to go to the Broncos because the offensive coordinator went to the Broncos. My understanding is he doesn't like the staff, from the front office all the way down in Green Bay. He hasn't been happy with them. I shouldn't say he doesn't like them. He hasn't been happy with them. So I don't know enough about his relationship with the offensive coordinator in Green Bay for him to turn around and follow him to Denver. I don't know if that's a shoo-in, but some people seem to assume so. I think
you can see why people are making the connection because in the off season before this season, there was an attempt to lure Aaron Rodgers to Denver. They showed interest in it, and now all of a sudden you're going and picking up his quarterback, or his offensive coordinator after you already shown interest that you want him to come here. Like it looks like bait. Hey, come over here. Come over. And to your point, I don't know the relationship either. And I'm not sure how long he had been. What's his name? I almost said Seth.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, I almost said Seth Hackett. Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett. I don't know how long he was with Aaron Rodgers before. I didn't do the research behind that to be able to make that assumption of if that's what they're doing or not. But I could see a team like the Steelers for sure. I think he wants to. Donnie's point. Donnie said, yeah, he wants to be in the AFC. I think that's true. I think he wants out of the NFC. And I can see the Steelers being that spot. They've got a good, talented roster in place, which reports have it that Juju Smith-Schuster wants to come to Kansas City. I think that deal was almost done in the offseason, but then he wanted to play one more year with Big Ben.
I think Ben kind of made it well aware to the guys in the locker room that this was his last year. So I think that's why Juju elected to stay with Pittsburgh instead of coming, because Juju only signed a 1-year deal. So that makes sense. As far as Aaron Rodgers going to Denver, the Denver job may look appealing, but with reports, we'll talk about the lawsuit that Denver's facing right now, and then we'll also talk about the Denver Broncos being up for sale. So those two factors, when a lot of that stuff is kind of lingering, may not be the best idea to it may not be a too appealing of a spot for free agents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh, who coached the 49ers, and then left San Francisco to go to the University of Michigan, where he played college ball. He told everybody when he left and took that job that it was his dream job. And now, for whatever reason, there's a lot of talk of Jim Harbaugh coming back to the NFL. I'm not sold on it. I think when you call something your dream job, and you look forward to that. I don't see what would be appealing to drive you away from your dream job when there's nothing nothing that stands out too well. Now I could be wrong.
Maybe he just has a desire to be able to coach more advanced techniques, more advanced schemes, more advanced that these kids in college are just not gonna they're not gonna grasp in the moment, in their time there. And grown men in the NFL are gonna be able to do some things differently that you can't do in college. And maybe there's desire there. Obviously there was previously, and sometimes it just comes back to you.
Yeah.
I once said being a chef was my dream job. Puke.
Yeah, no, you and I have had those conversations. But the Vikings are flying him in. And that's the only one that I've heard that is pursuing him aggressively is the Vikings. I could see the Vikings rolling out the red carpet for Jim Harbaugh and opening up the checkbook, and maybe Jim takes the job. Like I said though, when you land your dream job, and if it's still his dream job, I just don't see him wanting to come back to the NFL and deal with the politics and the bullshit of all that stuff that's going on with the 32 owners in the league.
Yeah, and I don't really think it's going to happen either. I think that he's done a pretty good job out there in Michigan. There's no denying that. And if you enjoy it, you called it your dream job. You're being successful at what you're doing. You don't have any pressure of say a hot seat or anything like that. Like you're being successful. Why would you leave? I'm sure they pay you handsomely. That's not an issue either. So I don't think maybe it doesn't hurt to look into it. If they want him to come check out the facility, talk to their owner, whatever, talk to their GM. Yeah, it don't hurt to look into it, but you're going to have to really make it worth his while to pull him away.
Yeah, absolutely. In other shifting news, kind of pertaining to the Chiefs, the Chiefs had a player personnel named Ryan Poles, who was offered the general manager spot in Chicago. I think that was the position that Ryan wanted. Ryan used to play for Chicago before he got into player personnel with Kansas City. He's been with us for 12 years. He's young. He's right there, ripe for that job. And as a Chiefs fan, I wish him the best, and hopefully he's able to turn it around a little bit out there in Chicago, because God knows they need it. So,
yeah. Well, and as a Chiefs fan, this is good news because this generates draft picks.
Yep.
We, as far as I understand it, we should get at least a third round comp pick off the deal.
Yep.
And so anytime that you can bring, whether it be personnel, like staff, coaching personnel, or player personnel, you can bring them up, and if you lose them to other teams, you get compensated for that.
Yeah.
So it's good to be able to bring guys up throughout the system, within the system. and Kansas City is doing a really good job of that, and we're getting rewarded. The big one. Brian Flores. Talk to me about Brian Flores.
So, Brian Flores, who, if you watched this show a couple weeks ago, Chase with CR Media got a little passionate about the way Brian Flores was let go from the Dolphins organization. I didn't agree with it. I thought it was stupid. I still think it's stupid. I think Stephen Ross deserved a punch in the mouth for it. So then today, Brian Flores releases a 59-page lawsuit that he is filing to start a class action lawsuit against the New York Giants, the Denver Broncos, and the Miami Dolphins. In Brian Flores' lawsuit, he also mentions his Eric Bieniemy, and just the emphasis on Brian Flores' lawsuit is the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule, if you're not familiar with it, says that the NFL has to interview a minority coach, pertaining to African Americans, to make it fair that African American coaches are getting the same opportunity as white coaches. Now, why is this a big deal, you ask? Well, according to Brian Flores, Brian got a text message from Bill Belichick that said, "Hey, congratulations on the New York Giants job." And Brian said, "I didn't know that I got it. I just scheduled an interview with him." And then Bill Belichick goes, "Oh, that's Brian DeBall. I'm sorry. My mistake." Well, that raised a red flag to Brian Flores because they scheduled an interview with him. Why would you schedule an interview with him if you already committed to hiring Brian DeBall?
Sure.
So that's where the New York Giants fit into this. There's also a story of John Elway and Brian Flores from a couple years ago. I'm not 100% sure on the story. I apologize. I'm not the biggest. I really don't give two shits about what the Denver Broncos do. So I've linked the story on CR Media's Facebook page, Instagram page. You're more than welcome to go read it. On ESPN, and ESPN can detail what happened with the Denver Broncos. What he's alleging happened with Stephen Ross, he's claiming that in the 2019 or 2020 season, Stephen Ross was offering an extra $100,000 to $190,000 for Brian Flores to tank the games so that they could get better draft picks. Now you're asking him to tank games and then turning around and not wanting to renew him or renew his contract or pick up his contract, and you release him after he's taken the team and was turning them around and building up. So Brian Flores, if it's true, Brian Flores has a case against the NFL and against the New York Giants, Miami Dolphins, and the Denver Broncos. I wish my Miami ties, gig 'em guys were in here because I'd love to get their feedback on what they think about this debacle that's going on in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely got fishy, and no pun intended, but the way that it ended in Miami, it definitely was a little weird the way it ended. He had just rallied these guys back. Yeah, I know it was a rough start, but they had rallied him back, and they ended up with a winning season, and then he gets canned. And so they, and come to find out, that's just the beginning of some shady activities going on within the NFL. So to fall back on the Rooney Rule, it's worthless.
Yeah, if the NFL and the NFL owners are not doing it, if they're only scheduling an interview with these guys, and don't let me say this, I think that the person qualified for the job the most should get the job. But
Yeah.
how do you know that you've got the most qualified guy for the job when you're not giving everybody an equal chance? How can you tell me, a Chiefs fan, that Eric Bieniemy doesn't deserve a head coaching job when Eric Bieniemy has done for this offense what he has? When Doug Peterson got a head coaching job for being the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs, Matt Nagy got a head coaching job for being the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs, and then you're telling me that Eric Bieniemy doesn't deserve a shot? When, in fact, Eric Bieniemy has done more for this offense than the two prior guys had.
Yep.
So tell me why Eric Bieniemy hasn't earned the right to get a job. So and that's not even talking about Brian Flores, because I could go all day about Brian Flores and how ignorant I thought that Stephen Ross was, like telling him the only person that I think would be more qualified for the job of head coach in Miami than Brian Flores would be either Eric Bieniemy or Jim Harbaugh. And then Stephen Ross says, well, we're not going to go after Jim Harbaugh. Then why did you get rid of Brian Flores?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't happy when you offered to pay him $200,000 to tank video games, to tank football games? I mean...
Yeah, and then, and then the NFL has always preached this, ensure the integrity of the game. Well, there's no integrity in tanking. I know you're trying to set yourself up, bro, but you play to win the game. There's no tie option. If we could take the tie, let's take the tie. No, fuck that. Play to win the game. We'll get a better draft pick if we purposely lose. No, fuck that. Play to win the game. You go out there and play, and you want the most competitive league possible. You ensure that they're playing each and every week. And now we know that there's secretly been, teams that tank. They do it. It's just part of the game at this point. But that's not it. Maintaining the integrity of the game.
No. And speaking of maintaining the integrity of the game, we missed or we overlooked the most important story of the day.
Did we?
Thomas Brady has officially retired from the NFL.
We sure the fuck did. Dave Gaming, what's going on, buddy? Appreciate you tuning in with us tonight.
Tom Brady has retired from the NFL after 22 seasons and 7 Super Bowl rings. So it's official this time. It wasn't false reporting or premature reporting.
That was so nuts how that played out. Like, just silly, really.
Yeah.
Like if it's true, man, it sucks you didn't get to announce it yourself, but just say, all right, yeah, that's true. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Well, he did it on his terms. He made a big post. He made a big post on his Instagram this morning, around 8 a.m. About the whole thing, and it's like 9 swipes. So it was a fairly long, good speech. Some people made a big deal because he didn't mention the Patriots. He mentioned the Patriots when he left. He thanked them. I think it would be a big deal if during his Hall of Fame speech he doesn't mention the Patriots. Then that's a big deal. I don't really think it was a big deal that he didn't mention the Patriots today. I think it's very, it's a bittersweet moment. Tom has caused a lot of heartache in my football life. But you know what? It's definitely been a thing to. It's definitely been something special to watch. To watch his rise in New England, watch that dynasty. You know, question when he was, oh, Tom's done. He's, we said it 6-7 years ago. Tom's done. Tom's over the hill, and then he leaves New England and then goes to Tampa Bay. And I'm like, when he went to Tampa Bay, I was like, oh, well, he's just going to Tampa Bay just to enjoy the Rays and the waves. And that's it. He's not gonna do anything special in Tampa Bay. And then they won the Super Bowl. So, like I said, bittersweet. I'm happy for him that he did it on his terms, and
well, one of the great things is that in the age range that we're at, we got to see Tom in his entirety, his whole career.
Exactly.
It wasn't like, oh, I remember when I was a kid he played, but I don't really remember it because I was a young kid. No, we were adults, and so we've got a fond memory, and I don't know how many times I've been at the verge of pulling my hair out because of the man. But at the same time, you can't deny the talent and the greatness that we witnessed. He is the greatest of all time at this point. And at this point in the game, he is the greatest of all time until someone comes along and out-achieves him. He has more accomplishments and has more rings and, or whatever it is that deems you to have more achievements. Until someone does that, Tom's the man. And we got to see it. So, it was a privilege to get to watch that throughout the years. A pain in the ass at times. And so many times I wish this mother effer would retire. Just get out of here. So it is a joyous occasion. I'm like, yes, finally, get out. But it was great watching it.
And what's always crazy about that, man, is just kind of circle it back around and bring it up, or bring it back to the Chiefs. I don't know how many times in Tom's career he played and took it upon himself to go to the other team's locker room after a game to tell a player specifically, like, hey, good game, don't hang your head, like you're great, you're gonna be great, you're gonna do great things, like Tom did for Pat. So like I said, it's extremely bittersweet. I'm definitely gonna miss seeing Tom Brady go out there and play, and all the crazy things people would say and all that stuff.
Yeah. All right, my man. I think that just about does it for us, huh?
That does, man. I was predicting a 2-hour show, but we are a little over an hour and a half, man, and I think we
That's because my stomach's been rumbling for the past 30 minutes. I've been cycling through it.
I'll tell you what, man. I did that a couple weeks ago, where I came down here to start the show right before dinner, and my wife does a fantastic job. I'm in an open room at the bottom of my stairs. My wife does a phenomenal job of making sure those kids don't bug me, or nobody runs downstairs and causes a bunch of ruckus while we're doing this. And so, but man, I'll tell you what, and I think it was one of our 2-hour shows. I was like,
yeah.
And I think you and I chatted afterwards, because I was like, man, my mouth is dry, because I didn't have a drink with me at all either.
Yeah, my old lady, she already came in here and hooked it up, got it ready for me. Is waiting to turn this camera off.
She skipped Subway because the app wasn't working, right?
It was $70.
Yeah.
We were like, no, we're going to Quick Trip.
Yeah. hold the salmonella.
Yeah.
Don't need to go to Subway and catch anything.
All right, my guy. I think that's it for me.
So, as we mentioned, East-West Shrine game, Senior Bowl. We'll be talking more Super Bowl next week. I'm still going to be doing Jaymes Howell Chiefs talk, even though the season's over with. So, come chill out with it next week.
We didn't do any Super Bowl predictions or anything like that. We'll do all that next week. Join us next week, and we will talk about all of that. So, with that, my name is Jaymes Howell. This is Jaymes Howell's Chiefs Talk, my legendary co-host. We'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay legendary, my friends. What's going on, guys? Jaymes Howell here. Look, if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And more importantly, make sure that you smash that notification bell. That way you'll never miss any content from Jaymes Howell's Chiefs Talk. Also, while you're at it, go to Jaymes Howell's Chiefs Talk on Facebook as well as on Twitter. You can find the links for those in the description. Until next time, once again, stay legendary, guys.